What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of That Scuffed Up. Today, episode 25 is coming right at you right now. We've got a lot of things to be had said and talked about here in the month of October as we get closer to playoffs for the fall season and closer to the All-Star and Home Run Derby for this Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, myself, Justin Lee, and Stephen Hayden. Let me ask you, Stephen, how are we doing today? How is it going?
You know, we're doing good. We're very very excited. Some big things coming up here. Some big trips happening, especially in the month of October. Be having a couple Wiffleball trips and trying to let some more people know about OC Wiffleball and California Wiffleball in general. So that's is California in general, like as seen by the public, especially the East Coast guys. It's seen as not quite as good. So my goal is try to show that the West Coast style is actually there's actually some pretty good wiffle ball out here. So we'll talk more about it in a bit. But so far so good for me.
Epic. Yeah, I mean we get an opportunity to prove that narrative of California wiffle ball has a shot to really go one-on-one with a lot of East Coast wiffle ball players because it is more prevalent in the East Coast side. They've have a bigger scene for wiffle ball than they do here in California. But let me just say, it's a pretty good group of people that know how to play wiffle ball out here. And I think there's a really good shot for a couple of these teams that are going out there to really show off what it means to be a part of West Coast wiffle ball versus East Coast. And we'll get a chance to talk about that as we get closer to the York, Pennsylvania tournament, which is taking place next weekend. So interesting news, Stephen Hayden will not be available for this next episode, but we will get a fill-in, or we can Photoshop Stephen's face on a random guest, but got that coming up pretty soon here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll be available if we do this recording, if we record this like on a Monday or something, get this out quick, but who knows what special guest you'll see, since I'll be Sunday night I'll kind of be flying home, so who knows if you guys do it in time, you guys could get away from my boring voice, and then you'll hear a lot of it the week after as we talk about our York experience.
Absolutely, and we will talk plenty about that. Right now, we got to talk about OC Wiffle Ball and what the state of the league is at the very moment. News coming up, obviously the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby is coming out very fast. Next weekend on Sunday is when it is occurring. So each team usually sends out at least 2 people to participate in the Home Run Derby and 1 individual to participate in the All-Star Game. Obviously, our league is a lot bigger this season with the number of teams, 19 in total. Well, now it's 18, but big group of guys. We're expecting for a big turnout at that game up at Newport Beach, is typically where we do these, so that's coming up real fast. So make sure if you're a captain, you send out your guys and figure out who's your best player on your team to participate in that home run derby and the All-Star Game. Obviously, the last All-Star Game was with Stephen Hayden getting his first win in the All-Star Game Series history. So maybe we'll see another win added to that, possibly. Well, actually, he won't be there, so it'll be a different scene out there.
Oh, it took me 5 tries, so.
Righty, so we got that coming up, and then obviously we got to talk about Week 7 results. A lot of big mix-ups here. This is the time where we start to see a lot of shake-ups in the standings and finalize who's going to make a playoff spot. Just like the MLB, who's finalized the MLB playoff picture this season. But let's get into it. Let's dive in real fast into these.
Let's not do the MLB, please.
If you didn't know, Stephen Hayden's a Chicago Cubs fan. It's been a rough week for that team. So some pretty sad news. On the other side of things,
I've been sent pictures of ads that from like July, from August of you get like the Twitter ads and stuff, and someone took a screenshot of it from the Cubs saying like, make sure to buy your postseason tickets here. It's back in like August, or like went back when the Cubs had like a 80% chance of making the playoffs, and then they sold the past few weeks, and I mean, just I didn't have many expectations going into the season for them, but just the way it ended is kind of brutal for me. So for those who root for the Chicago teams, it's brutal, especially with the way the Bears are playing.
Do you think the Cubs may have jinxed himself with the early selling of those playoff tickets?
I think they just jinx themselves in general. It is kind of it is.
Suzuki.
I'm malfunctioning here. Sorry. That's been awful. That was awful to watch and to see it pan out. The Cubs had it. The Cubs had it clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there. I was there in August watching them beat the Braves 2 out of 3. I watched the final game and I was like, okay, that was the first time I actually had some real good hope for the Cubs. But since then, they just have not had the best. They've just not been able to win those close games like they have so far during the year. Just not able to get it done. And they got some stuff they can improve on for the next year. But overall, I need to see if you can get Bellinger back, but I'm not sure that's going to be very possible. We'll see, though.
He's been very good for their team this year. I do want to say though that the playoff picture for this October is a lot different than what we typically see. There's a lot of newer teams that we haven't seen return to the playoffs for a while.
Yeah, you got the Diamondbacks, who they were off to an extremely hot start, then kind of died down, and then have picked things up through this final stretch of the season. You have the Marlins back in the playoffs, who have only been in the playoffs 3 times and won the World Series 2 of those times. So, although the most recent time they were in the World Series, they didn't win it, which was in 2020 during the COVID-shortened year. But frustrating as a Cubs fan, right there, to see. I was hoping this last series would be the Brewers would kind of be who determine who's going to make it, who's going to win the division, and the Cubs kind of sold the last few weeks, and at least they'll finish with a winning record. But not much else other than that. I mean, they lose to the Braves in their final game today, 4-0, and that's all the Cubs got for this year, unfortunately.
Always next year, Anyway,
just like the Angels.
Yeah, let's not talk about them. Anyway, so let's talk about Week 7 result stuff. We do have another result with the continuation games. There's actually 2 of them coming up for this Week 8 with 2 games that didn't finish in time within the time zone span or whatever you want to call it. So we'll talk about those a little bit once we get to them. But the first game of the day we do want to highlight is the OC Wiffles of LA versus the LA Wiffles of OC in Division 1. A rematch game from earlier in the season. This one a lot less competitive than it was the first time around. LA Wiffles of OC who were playing without Dustin Staggs, and OC Wiffles of LA playing without James Lee through like the first half of that game. James Lee did show up a little bit later in that game, but wasn't in time enough to save his team. LA Wiffles of OC get their win 13-4 over the OC Wiffles of LA.
Yeah, it's the first game where the OC Wiffles have had a bad result, and even though they are 0-9 now after this result. It's the first one time they've lost by this many runs. They've been in nearly every game, but this one kind of got away from them quick. James Lee not able to get there until the bottom of the second inning, and by that time, LA Wiffles were already up 7-0. Biggest hit coming from a Stephen Hayden grand slam in the first inning. And just got off to a 7-0 start real quick. And LA Wiffles also missing Dustin Staggs and Greg Gualtieri. So they were rocking with 4, just able to keep that 4 going through the whole day. Just OC Wiffles were able to get some offense. James did have a home run off of Jordan Drexler, but Jordan Drexler able to keep the OC Wiffles relatively quiet. Had 4 innings, allowed 4 runs, and even got to see some pitching from Justin Lee and Dylan Mengie as well. I kind of wanted to keep Justin in for the full inning, but I also wanted to get Dylan a chance to be on the mound for a little bit. So I apologize to you, Justin, but I wanted that was pretty much his only chance he's going to get to be on the mound.
I'm just glad it's not an infinite ERA.
Well, yeah, you had 2 good outs there. I think you had a couple walks. I think there might have been a hit in there. I can't remember for sure. But once you got that second out, I want to make sure Dylan could get on the mound. I didn't really let him warm up, so I just threw him on the mound. And you got your brother out, so you would get Ethan out on a weak ground ball. So, but LA Wiffles came into this game looking to try to stay in that 2 seed race, and were able to come out with a big win here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a fun time. And Dylan nearly struggled, and I was sweating a little bit because one of those runs would have been accredited to my ERA if he let that one go with the bases loaded. Got out of it, so I'm just glad that both of us don't have infinite ERAs way above 100 or whatever that ERA would have been. But yeah, for Osu LA, it's been a very tough season for them. I mean, maybe it would have helped if James Lee has been there. I'm not sure exactly what the story is with Joaquin Jimenez. Don't know the details about that, but obviously a big impact this season has been his absence. Without that extra second arm to help them on the pitching side of things, they've had to switch over to Ethan Lee, David, and Dominic at a few times. It's been a struggle for them. They have been in games, so like it's very good to see that they're able to stick with a lot of teams. Obviously, this game is the latter, and just the rest of the season going on. I mean, they get a chance to maybe figure things out with this next game that we're about to talk about, and then the rest of the games that they got for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and we'll talk more. I mean, we'll talk more about the OC Wiffles of LA playoffs chances here. I mean, 0-9 is really not looking good for them. But we'll see. They keep moving on. They sit clearly in that 3rd spot with a 6-3 record. Now with a +10 run differential. But I want to talk to you about. If you're looking at some stats, not to toot my own horn a little bit, but based off the numbers, is Stephen Hayden in run for a back-to-back MVP here?
I'd say, I mean, it's an absolute definite, yeah, because you look at the stats: 574 batting average, 6 home runs. I mean, the numbers aren't going to be inflated because Division One's a lot more competitive in that aspect. ERA is a 3.38 with 42 strikeouts. It's a great number. It's hard for me to like look at the other numbers and be like, oh man, like these are really really good numbers for a player like that. As it stands so far, it looks like the highest batting average in the entire league. But I think it's just expected that you see a lot of low numbers for everybody else when you look at the bigger picture of it. You just look at it and you're like, wow, these numbers do not look the same as they did a season ago. But again, it's a much more competitive league with Division One when you put all these really good teams together in one spot. The other person I actually would also put in there could be James Lee, actually.
Yeah, James Lee is making a very good case for himself, so especially in that Rookie of the Year candidate running. James Lee has done very well. There was some talk about Zach Moore, but we'll get into him a little bit later once we start discussing their games. But you kind of look at that comparison between James and Steven, two guys that were almost on the same team, but ended up having James on their team. You have Steven leading the league in average and on-base percentage with a 574 average and a 667 on-base percentage, which for bases for Division One, the league average, the league base is a 280 average. So Steven's batting 574, and then James is batting 475 right now. And James does have one more homer than Steven does. And then pitching wise, Steven's got a 3.38 ERA. 21 in the 3rd innings pitch on with 42 strikeouts, so almost 2 strikeouts an inning on average. And then James Lee in 32 in the 3rd innings has a 5.02 ERA, 59 strikeouts in 32 in the 3rd innings. So James Lee's making a big case for himself, whether it be Rookie of the Year or for the MVP. But but both those guys are kind of in that battle. We'll see how these last weeks go on. Maybe stuff could be affected by the fact that I am going to York, Pennsylvania, and I've been told by Dustin not to pitch too much, but I will still pitch a bit and keep those numbers going and look to continue my hitting process. So we'll see what happens these last few weeks. But we'll talk more about Wards later on. Just wanted to throw that out there in terms of who you see could possibly be the MVP. I mean, Shane's having a very good offensive season as well. Mo Wright has some great numbers right now hitting wise, but just came in a little late for the MVP. But it's looked like we could be getting our first back-to-back MVP with Steven if he keeps these numbers up.
I think the other person that we can also highlight is Drake Coffin. The pitching side of things is really good. 1.2 ERA, 49 strikeouts in 25 innings pitched. The batting side is not as great compared to, like when you look at your stats, with the 370 average, 5 home runs. But maybe, we still got plenty of time this season. If he's able to go like on a huge run, so to speak, on the offensive side of things, maybe he can slip into that conversation. But I think Drake is also another name that can be thrown in there.
Oh, he's playing our team and Dylan's team, so that's not happening.
All right. Well, I guess are we building a storyline here for the next game?
No, we're just gonna move on to the next game.
No, okay.
We're not building any storyline.
All right. Well, extinguish the fire. All right, moving on to the next game. We've got the OC Wiffles of LA taking on the Beach City Bombers. This is actually one of the games that is going to be continued this week, in Week 8, between these two teams. Steven, if you have the storyline about that game, I think I left after this game to go to finish some things at Chapman University. But what did you see in this game?
Yeah, you were gone out. You were gone after our game. You wolfed down some food, but without sharing, I should say. But we don't talk about that. This game is a relatively close game. OC Wiffle's just coming off a loss there, not having James there for the full game. They were going against the Beach City Bombers, who had 5 there on the night, but had I can't remember whose. They had one of the players' wives. I want to say it was Will. I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. I believe it was Will Cantrell. They had her joining. Actually, she was big in the game. OC Wiffles were up 5-3 in the bottom of the 5th inning, and were able due to Will's wife, she able to get a 2-run triple to tie it up at 5, and that really kind of forced this game into extras, which we did not get to because of time limit. But this game's 5-5 going into the 7th inning. Not sure how many innings Tyler and James have left for their respective teams, but some big news out of Beach City Bombers. It looks like Zach Moore will be unavailable for the rest of the year. We talked about him and talked with some other guys about he's a potential MVP candidate as well, and not being there for those, he missed one of the opening weeks, and then not being there for the last 4 to 5 games of the season is gonna take him out. But we'll see where that puts the Beach City Bombers in terms of playoff contention as well. They sit right now in the 6th seed with Shepherd's Pie on their tail. And these two teams play each other the last week, so we'll see what happens in that final matchup. But as to this game, this one will be continued at 6:15 on this coming Tuesday, and that was going to be going on real quick. And the OC Wiffles have another game going on at 6:30, so we'll see how this one finishes at the end. But overall, it was a pretty close game. Tyler and James, I believe they both had a home run in this game, so we'll see how things carry on.
Absolutely. So we'll keep an eye out on this game, and then we'll cover that in next week's podcast between these two teams. But this is a good opportunity for OC Wiffles of LA to finally get their first win of the season. Obviously, one of the big key guys that we talked about was Zach Moore not being there, and for the rest of the season, that's huge for the Beach City Bombers. now that they don't have one of their best pitchers and one of their best hitters on that team for the rest of the year going. They're in a really rough position right now in terms of the standings. They could potentially sneak in there with a win here and then winning out the rest of their games. But it's a tough road going down this way, especially with the rest of the games that we got. Trash Pandas and Avocabras are always extremely competitive in that part, so they'll be fighting for those playoff spots that they're currently holding at the very moment.
Yeah, it's gonna for that 4 to 6 seed. It's going to be a race to the finish. Just when and who's going to finish where and how teams are going to end up finishing up. Probably see some teams under 500 that make it to the playoffs. Especially with the situation that with those Wolves at the bottom. So for playoff purposes, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, the Purple Huskies, MS Warriors, and the LA Wolves of OC have already clinched the playoffs. I believe that's the situation. Especially for the LA Wolves, who are in third, the worst they can do would be 6-6, and with Shepherd's Pie already having 7 losses, they got to be above them. So LA Wolves will be guaranteed a playoff spot for sure. It looks. I can't see the Purple Huskies getting out of that 1 seed. I mean, they face both the MS Warriors and the LA Wolves of OC this coming week, so they could potentially lose one of those. Or but I'm about 95% certain they will end with the 1 seed, and then it'll be between the MS Warriors and the LA Wolves of OC to help determine that 2 seed there. Try that 2 and 3 seed, and then it'll be kind of see who fills in for the rest of the seeds there. But playoffs take place on October 16th. It's gonna be a race to get there, especially for all divisions. Actually, it's kind of a race for those bottom spots right now. But that's what the situation looks like. Purple Huskies, MS Warriors, other Wiffles in. OC Wiffles are out. With the Trash Pandas, Avocabras, Beach City Bombers, and Shepherd's Pies fighting for those. You have 4 teams fighting for those last 3 spots.
That's the storyline we'll be covering once we get towards the end of the season, which we are right on the edge, teetering on the very edge of where we are in that highlight. So, in speaking of terms of teams who are trying to fight for those playoff spots, Shepherd's Pie taking on Purple Huskies, which is the next game that we saw. Purple Huskies wiped away the slate against Shepherd's Pie, getting a 13-0 shutout win over that team in Anthony Gruse's team.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, between these two teams, the first game also ended with a shutout in favor of the Purple Huskies. Obviously the Purple Huskies didn't lose their first game because they're undefeated. So if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look this up right now, but I'm pretty sure that Purple Huskies were able to take the first win over Shepherd's Pie. No, Shepherd's Pie need to win here to kind of keep their playoffs, to boost their playoff hopes. But right now, as it stands, they sit outside the playoffs right now, looking to try to get back into the playoffs. But it's going to be an uphill task for them as they do have a good chance when they take on the Beach City Bombers in week 9, I should say. But for this week, they do play the MS Warriors as well, so that's not going to be an easy matchup for them. It's a matchup that actually was pretty close when they played each other week 1. Ended up being a 7-2 victory for the MS Warriors. But we'll see how whether Anthony and the group are able to get through and make their way into the playoffs, or whether they'll be the other team that's knocked out. But for this game, just I don't think there's too much to say. Just some more great play from the Purple Huskies, looking to remain undefeated and looking to translate this one into a World Series title.
Right, and so they're the only. It's a tough team to match up against because obviously they're undefeated. Winning this game adds to that undefeated streak that they have continued since last season. So it's a really tough talented group of guys on that side of the ball. So, this is kind of expected when you're playing against a team that's trying to just fight for wins right now. Obviously, that's not the outcome that they wanted, but they've got to bounce back, figure out how to get more wins, kick back in the offensive side. Their best hitter right now is Anthony with 10 home runs, and guys like Evan White, Ethan Raffman, Nicholas Tone, they're trying to figure out their place with the hitting. Trevor Bushy has not had a single hit yet, according to the stat sheet. So that's got to be tough on them as well. Pitching side of things have been a little inconsistent too at times, but when you're a part of Division One, you got to either be really, really good at your craft, or you're gonna slip between the cracks. That's just kind of the state of it. And this kind of proves, the number 1 seed versus a seed that's closer to the bottom of the standings right now. That's just the outcome of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony's been having a good season, as you mentioned, batting .383 on the season with a .500 on base percentage. But their run differential is not very great. They have they're better than some of the teams above them, but just not able to get a lot of the offense going here. In terms of they're middle of the pack in terms of runs scored, and then they are second to last in terms of runs allowed right now. So whether it's not having enough people out there and that causing harm to the defense, or just giving up the timely runs for the other teams, it's not been the best situation for them. The numbers look good for both Anthony and Evan. Both of them have pitched a lot of innings. You get that righty-lefty combo. Anthony with a .582 ERA, Evan with a .768 ERA. But I mean, look at that. Anthony's allowed 33 runs so far, and Evan's allowed 32 runs so far. So if they can find a way to limit those runs that are scored, they'll be in better shape. But it's just about getting all 5 guys out there, and it just seems like they haven't been. I mean, Trevor's only had 7 at bats so far on the season, so he's only really been there for 1 game. Just about finding that consistency for getting guys out, and we'll see how much that affects them as we get into the playoffs if they're able to make it.
Yeah, significantly, and this wasn't their only game of the day as well. They had a bounce back game that they needed later in the day, which we'll get to in just a second. But I'm going to continue with the Purple Huskies as we talked about them in this game, taking on the Beach City Bombers. This is the kind of that rematch game in the playoffs from last season. Obviously, the outcome was Purple Huskies not take over that game, but Purple Huskies take this game 10-5 over the Beach City Bombers. Purple Huskies continue that undefeated streak, and they basically had a day combining 23 runs in total on the day in Week 7.
Yeah, I mean, when this team's on, they can hit. They don't have the best hitting numbers for the year so far, but Kyle Froome, Joey Ponder are leading this team in average, and that's a huge thing to say when you have Drake Hoffman and True Hendrickson in your lineup. We all know how good True is, a two-time MVP of this league. Has won a World Series before with the Wise guys and stuff. But that foursome right there is a very good group. It's a very tough group to get around, and that's why they've been able to be so successful. But it's not just hitting; it's been on the mound as well. They've allowed the least number of runs out of any team in the league. Actually, they have the best run differential in Division One with a +52, but they've also only allowed 21 runs the whole year, and with 5 of those being from this game right here. I saw some power from the bats of the Beach City Bombers, but just unable to stop them from scoring. But the pitching of the Purple Huskies, I mean, it's been great. True Hendrickson with a .277 ERA, Joey Ponder mixing in there from time to time with a .382 ERA. He was especially big when True missed 2 of their games. And then Drake Hoffman, you mentioned him for MVP discussion. I wouldn't put him quite in the MVP conversation. I wouldn't put him in the lead. Maybe I would put him like the 5 spot. I wouldn't put him in the MVP conversation based off the hitting numbers. But where I definitely would put him as a potential leader is the Cy Young candidate right here. A 1.2 ERA, 25 innings pitched, 49 strikeouts, nearly 2 strikeouts an inning, and only allowed 5 runs on the whole year. So he's been doing a great job. He's been fixing up some stuff. He's got some extra movement on his pitches and got some variability when you compare it to Dylan. Dylan, you often see him throwing the same pitch over and over, whereas Drake is able to mix in some different stuff from time to time and able to keep hitters off balance a little bit more. Plus, when you have guys like True Hendrickson mixing in, you can keep switching those guys every inning, and people are gonna struggle to adjust to the new pitcher that's on the mound. But Purple Huskies are looking primed for another big playoff run. It'll be interesting to see who they get in that first round, or in that semifinal round. I mean, because they're basically guaranteed to have a bye at least. I'm very certain they'll be getting the 1 seed. But as it stands right now, they could be getting a team like the Trash Pandas or the Avocabros in that first round. And if they get the Trash Pandas, that could be a very interesting matchup with those two teams. That could be another instance where you see the Trash Pandas getting upset. But right now, there's not much stopping the Purple Huskies.
Yeah, they're on the track. They're going on a really good run rate here. 23 total runs in total on this Week 7 result. They're going together with this, and if Drake Hoffman can somehow inflate his batting stats a little bit, maybe he can sneak into that conversation a bit. But definitely Cy Young Award contender up in there, and he's kind of the reason why they've been winning games this year. Picking up the slate and just pitching lights out, taking over the spot of his brother, who a year ago 2-time Cy Young Award winner. This time Drake says, "I'm gonna take the mantle and really pitch a lot stronger than what Dylan did a season ago." So, and he's got a really good cast of guys behind him. Joey Ponder has also been doing pretty good. He's a very strong support player. Knows how to throw a glizzy when he needs to, and dials in when he needs. And the Purple Huskies team, they're the team to beat in the Division 1. So that's the big one we got to keep an eye on who ends up facing them once they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, that it doesn't look like the MS Warriors or the LA Wiffles will be in that 4-5 spot. But if so, that could be a tough matchup for them. Like I said, the Trash Pandas could be a tough matchup for them. The Avocabros and Beach City Bombers, I don't think they would be as tough of a matchup. But against their pitching, they could put up some damage. But they've been rolling the whole year, and they're looking for different results. And for Drake's purposes, and that was kind of the knock he had on him for last year, was the fact that he just was not. He hadn't thrown enough innings to be able to be a Cy Young candidate. Otherwise, he might have been. Last year, he had a .53 over ERA or something like that. Only allowed 2 runs on the whole year in 22 2/3 innings. But you had 2 other guys on your team pitching like 27, 25 innings or so like that. So he was throwing his team innings pitching. That's just not enough innings for him to be able to get the Cy Young, especially when his brother had a 2 ERA and 48 1/3 innings pitched. So. This could be the year for some awards for Drake Hoffman. You never know. You never know what's going to happen here. I think Cy Young, he's definitely a leader, and then MVP, he's somewhere in that mix of guys into consideration. Maybe a little bit behind some guys like Stephen Hayden and James Lee, but I'm not totally sure how he's going to inflate those hitting numbers, but you never know. It's kind of hard to inflate at this point in the season, unless he just gets a hit every single at bat. He does have 17 hits on the year with 5 home runs, but he's 10 behind the leader in hits in the league right now in Stevens. So, and plus Stevens still going to continue to play and be here for the last 3 games of his games. So. It'll be interesting. I think Drake's definitely leading for the Cy Young, as I said. We'll see about anything else, and we'll see how their team does once they get into the playoffs.
That's a storyline that we have to keep an eye out on as we get closer to the playoffs. A game that we also have to keep an eye on was the game between the MS Warriors and Avocabros. This is also a continuation game. Both of these teams are currently tied as well, going into this Week 8 of this continuation game. As we see, the MS Warriors are holding the second seed right now against the Avocabros. But from what I had heard, this game is high scoring right now, and they're both neck and neck.
Yeah, this has been a very offensive game so far. Dylan Hoffman had a little bit of struggles on the mound here, giving up a good number of runs to the Avocabros on the dirt in the ninth game. I believe this one's going to extras. It's either going to extras or it's still the sixth. It's an 11-11 score with Dylan actually giving up 8 or 9 of the 11 runs, if I'm not mistaken. Not the start you want to see if you're him. It's kind of putting his numbers in his pitching numbers in jeopardy and really it was pretty close between guys like Dylan and Drake and Steven and things like that, and James. But with this game, it's put Dylan down a little bit, and it's really brought up Drake's and highlighted his pitching numbers so far. But for MS Warriors, they're looking to try to finish this for either one of these teams, for either the MS Warriors or the Avocabros. They're looking to try to finish this one off. This would be a big one for the MS Warriors to put them at 7-1, really giving them a big advantage to stay in that 2 seed. While the Avocabros are looking to get to 500 to a 500 record and looking to maintain a good spot in the playoffs, that would put them at the 4 spot right at this moment. So I believe the Avocabros would like to be a higher seed if they can, to be that 4 or 5 seed versus barely sneaking into the 6 seed. As they were batting for a couple seasons ago. But pretty close game overall. We've seen the Avocabros been able to play up to the competition with some of the teams. They took the Wiffleball C into extra innings. They had to have a continuation game there. And then now with number 2 seed MS Warriors are able to take this one into extras and have this one continue on. So it's just about getting that consistency, score the runs when needed, and also not allow as many runs, because the Avocabros have allowed the most runs so far in Division 1. That'll be interesting to see how they're able to limit that once they get into the playoffs, if they get into the playoffs, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about the high-scoring ability of the Avocabros that we've typically seen year in, year out, every season. This is nothing different. Obviously, they're figuring out against a really strong pitcher like Dylan Hoffman, who's been trying to find a groove as of late, having some issues against a team like the Avocabros, which is big, if we're looking at the playoff picture. If the MS Warriors do lose this game against the Avocabros, it helps. Not only does it help the Avocabros with their playoff chances, but it's possibility for teams like the LA Wilson OC to slip into that 2nd seed if they do lose this one, and LA Wilson OC win out the rest of their games. So this is important in terms of seeding. This is a playoff determining game for both of these teams and for other teams around the league. So this is one of those big games to watch out for.
Yeah, and the MS Warriors will continue this game on this coming week, and they also have 2 more games this coming week. One of those being against the Purple Huskies, who are above them, and then for week 9, the final week, their last game, they have to take on the Wiffleball C. So that last game could be a determinant between who's going to be the 2 seed and the 3 seed, which will make a difference in who gets the bye and who does not get the bye. So that's going to be very interesting to find out. And maybe it's a situation where the MS where one of those teams doesn't want the bye. Who knows? Having the bye could put you in cold while teams just won their wild card game, and they could just keep rolling on. Last time the MS Warriors had a bye, they got knocked out of the playoffs without making it to the World Series by the eventual champions, the Wiffleball C. So maybe it's something they don't want. Maybe they want to be that 3 seed, but who knows? Be interesting to see with them how they're able to progress through the rest of the season. How see if Dylan's able to bounce back. I know he's got a lot on his mind in terms of outside of Wiffleball. But it's going to be interesting how these guys do.
I mean, if you talk about it too, they also had a pretty good chance in the playoffs in the summer as well, and then obviously they just couldn't make it over the hump once again, as they were taking on the Purple Huskies, who eventually did a walk-off on them. But yeah, this is like, one of those big things in terms of seeing, like, do you want the top seed? Do you want the bye? Do you not want the bye? Because it could leave you in cold water. So maybe they could change the narrative and let the Avocados slide through, and then put them in a third seed in the standings, and they can just ride that wave of momentum going in through as they go through the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how things roll. Both of these continuation games could be big for these playoff chances, especially for teams like the Avocados and the Beach City Bombers. It could be a difference between making it and not make it. So we'll have to see how things go. Week 8, those will be going on pretty quick within the first set of games. So for those teams who are interested, you can come check those out. The schedule has been changed a little bit around for this week to accommodate for those games. The Beach City Bombers and LA Wolfsville C were supposed to play each other at 6:20. That game's now been moved to 8:30, so these games can be able to finish off against each other. Which the Beach City Bombers have to take now have to actually Beach City Bombers are gonna have to stay there for the whole day actually, because they have the continuation game starting at 6:15. Then they have a game against the that's good. That's a big matchup for playoff stuff as well. At 7:25, the Beach City Bombers take on the Avocados as well. And without Zach Moore, it'd be interesting to see how the Beach City Bombers do. But then Beach City Bombers, how we'll see will take place at 8:30. So we'll see how these final games wrap up with these teams.
Righty, so, and then the next game that we're talking about just right now is Shepherd's Pie and Trash Pandas. This is also kind of determines, what kind of seeding they'll get. Shepherd's Pie is fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Trash Pandas are just fighting to hold on to a good seeding in the standings. Currently, they're right now in fourth after getting fourth in those standings right now. But Shepherd's Pie keeps their chances alive in this game as they take the win 8-6 over the Trash Pandas. Bit of an upset in this game, I would say so myself, but it's a great win for the Shepherd's Pie to take this victory over the Trash Pandas.
Yeah, before I get into this game a little bit, this game was actually the one that knocked out the OC Wolves of LA out of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. The OC Wolves of LA could have still had a chance even at 0-9 if they win their next 3 games. They could have ended up 3-9, and Shepherd's Pie could have lost their last 2 games. And they could have stuck into that 3 seed over either the Beach City Bombers or Shepherd's Pie. But Shepherd's Pie and Beach City Bombers actually played each other last week, so at least one of those teams will have guaranteed 4 wins. So OC Wolves of LA not able to catch up. But this one was a little bit of a surprise. Trash Pandas have looked very good the whole year. They beat the LOC the first time they played each other in a good game, and be able to get some wins against the rest of the league, and struggle a little bit with the MS Warriors and Purple Huskies, but so has pretty much everyone. This was an interesting game here. Shepherd's Pie able to get a big win when they needed to keep themselves in the playoff hunt here. Otherwise, they'd be sitting at 2-8 with a larger potential of missing the playoffs. And we saw a lot more of Anthony pitching on the mound. I think pretty sure he pitched 4 innings, and Evan able to work in there with two innings. And that center field, it does make a little bit of a difference. The one field out there without a radar going on. Just the different environment, being a little further out, get a little more wind. You're closer to the fence, so you can't run as far back to catch any balls that may be hit for home runs. But overall, big win for Shepherd's Pie, able to move up to 3-7 now, trying to put themselves in the playoff hunt.
And this was the game that they needed to win to keep themselves in there. You look at Division I standings right now. It's a pretty clean fight between the 4 through 7 seeds right now. It's pretty much anyone's game right now at this very moment. And then obviously the other one that we're looking at is between the LA Wolves of OC and the MS Warriors. When in terms of looking at who's going to get that second spot and whatnot. So there's a lot of storylines to be had that we can talk about all day as we get closer to Week 8. And we'll see after Week 8 who gets those spots and who's potentially still fighting for certain positioning in the playoff picture for Division 1.
Yeah, week eight's going to be a big determinant for the standings. We're going to get some more clarity on that. Obviously, we still have week 9. Yeah, looking at this final week of games, there aren't a whole lot of teams with doubleheaders. Pretty much just the MS Warriors, the Trash Pandas have doubleheaders in this last week. So a lot of teams are going to have one game going into that final week for Division 1. So week 8 is going to be a big factor. We see matchups such as the Beach City Bombers and the Avocados going on. That's a 5-6 matchup that could determine things. Should see if Shepherd's Pie is able to get a win versus the MS Warriors. They had a close game where they played each other week 1, and then Purple Huskies taking on both the Yellow Wolves OC and MS Warriors. That they win both of those, they're going to be the clear favorites for the World Series. Or if one of them is able to beat them, that puts a wrench into the works for who's going to be that second seed. So some interesting matchups will be happening going on in Division 1. A lot of them going on to 725 slots. So obviously we know there's some switching around with the LA Beach City Bombers, which is listed on the schedule as a Division 2 game, but it's not a Division 2 game, I promise. So it'd be I'm interested to see how this season will pan out as we go into this week 8. But this is kind of the make or break week from what I'm seeing especially for those for teams in the 4 to 7 seeds right now.
Okay, that does it for Division 1 content. We can move on to Division 2 stuff we're also kind of keeping a close eye on. Currently, OC Seals and Wiffleball lead the league in terms of the standings. There are 2 teams fighting for playoff spots at the very moment. But let's take a look. We had 4 games in total in Week 7. The first one of the day was Whoosh versus Bad News Dingers. Whoosh sweep the entire game, 12-0 against Bad News Dingers. Big shutout win for their team.
Yeah, no, needed win for these teams came in here with the same record. Whoosh was technically a half game ahead because they had played less games. Both came with 4 wins, and Whoosh had 4 losses. Bad News Dingers had 5 losses, I should say. I can't talk. But for this game, Whoosh able to take a commanding 12-0 victory over them to secure a spot of that 4th seed there, which is big for since Division 2. It's the top 4 teams make it to the playoffs. So Pacific Thrashers going 0-9. Right now they're out of the playoffs. And as of right now, it looks like the OC Seals and Wiffleball will have officially clinched the playoff spots. But it's going to be a battle between the 47ers, the Whoosh and Bad News Dingers. Whoosh right now with a good advantage, moving into the 4th spot cleanly with a 5-5 record, and with a lot of runs scored for them. But they also have allowed a lot of runs on the year. So once they have had some weeks where they haven't had everyone there. They've had some weeks where they're missing guys like Donald LeCompte, and guys like Drew Plant, and even Owen Shure has been gone at times. So once they get that consistency back, they can be a very good team. They were the one team that beat the OC Seals so far this year. They beat in Week 1 with a 10-run comeback as well. So we'll see if they're able to. We'll see how things go for these next couple weeks for Whoosh. If I'm not mistaken, for Whoosh, they got one game this week versus, I'm trying to find it. They're taking on Wiffle D's this coming weekend. So they win that one. That could be a big boost for the season. Really put them up ahead with a winning record, and just see how things go for the rest of the year. Especially with the 47ers, who are the team above the Whoosh, playing the OC Seals this coming weekend. It could be a big determining factor for Division 2 as we get down to the nitty-gritty part of the season.
100%. And when we get to the next game, a lot of these teams are still looking for a playoff spot. Obviously, it's less than Division 1 in terms of those standings that we're looking at. It's tightly packed in that middle bunch of the group of Division 2 right now, so it's important for you get these wins and try to secure those playoff spots. Obviously, the one team that's basically secured the first spot is the OC Seals, who have gone through the season. They've only got 1 blemish on their record, but multiple wins that have basically helped them secure that spot. The next game that we talking about is Whoosh and Wiffle D's. Obviously, we just talked about Whoosh, who came off a really good victory against the Bad News Dingers, but Whoosh could not get over the hump against Wiffle D's, who will currently hold on to that second seed in Division 2, the final score being 11-3 over Whoosh.
Yeah, and it's funny, we just talked about how they're playing each other next week. They already played each other this week. Wiffle D's coming out with a big 11-3 victory. Really starting to secure that second spot. It doesn't look likely they'll be able to get into that first spot over the OC Seals, especially after Wiffle D's has lost twice to the OC Seals. But secure that 2 seed will be important for them. Having that home, there'll be no buyers in the buy round in Division 2. So having that home field advantage will be important for Division 2 going on here. So. Good win for them. They move up to, after this game, they are 6-3 with another game going on that we'll talk about in a little bit later on in a 2-3 matchup between them and the 47ers. But Wiffle D's continuing on, showing and they've been quite good this whole year. I believe they just had 2 losses to the OC Seals, and they have had a loss to, I think they lost to Bad News Dingers, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but. The combo, they have a great combo of pitching between them, between the likes of Alex Harris, Chris Garza, doing a lot of the work on the mound for them, and then hitting wise, their team average of 357, which the average for the Division 2 is a bit higher at 350. So they're right there and stuff. Brian Garza hitting well. We'll just see how this continues on for the rest of the year. But even for teams such as for Whoosh, we just talked about them. They're still right in there in that race. Fall to 5-5 now, but they still are a game ahead of Bad News Dingers.
Right, exactly. So, the fight between these 3 teams, the 47ers, Whoosh, and the Bad News Dingers, is an important fight. And we get to week 8, we see those matchups, and like you just said, Whoosh is going to take on Wiffle D's once again. So that's going to be important for them. But it's going to be competitive because obviously Whoosh needs that win to keep themselves in there, but Wiffle D's want to hold on to that so they can stay atop of the mountain, close to where, the OC Seals are standing at the very top right now. So it'll be important for them to start winning more games to kind of secure that. They have a good, strong roster with guys that we know personally, and hopefully they're able to pull it out of the water and ride that wave going into the playoffs here.
Yeah, especially for that 3-4 spot in Division 2. It'll be interesting to see if Wiffle D's is still able to maintain their spot. The second in place is looking very likely. In fact, they're 2 games ahead of the 47ers, and they just played each other, as we'll talk about a little later. But right now, Wiffle D's sitting good. It's going to be 3, kind of similar to Division 1. You got 3 teams battling for 2 spots right now, so unfortunately, one's going to have to be knocked out.
Definitely. I actually want to ask you a question just right here in the middle of this segment, but when you look at these Division 2 teams, amongst the top 3 that are fighting for those spots right now, and I don't mean like OC Seals or Wiffle D's, but 47ers, Whoosh, Bad News Dingers, who's the X Factor guy you're looking at to help them kind of get out of that slump?
I would place it on the pitching of Whoosh. I think when Whoosh is on, and when Whoosh is on, they're rolling good. They have the potential to beat either Wiffle D's or the OC Seals. Because they have the offense, and they showed that especially early in the year. The 47ers being new is a different X factor as well. Just not many people knowing a whole lot about them. Their first year in here, they're having some success. They have a positive run differential, and they sit in the 3 spot right now. I mean, just the fact that they're new and they're young and athletic and able to move around quicker in the field than some of the other guys. I think those are kind of the X factors for both of those teams, and that's what's kind of propelled them right now into the playoff spots right now. Bad News Dingers, kind of that. It's just about the kind of that offense and that second pitcher. once Joe is done pitching innings, because Joe's had a good year so far on the mound. If we look at his stats, I mean, pitching wise, he's at a 7 ERA, 35 innings pitched, 41 runs allowed, but has 60 strikeouts. And then hitting wise, Joe's got a 365 average with a 460 on base percentage. So he's fighting away on base and actually having a pretty good Division II season. That's kind of overshadowed by some of the other stuff that's going on in Division II, but I'd say those are kind of the X factors for each of these teams. If they get that stuff sorted out, then these teams will have a chance of making the playoffs. Because all three of these teams have 2 games left. So we'll see how things shake out as we go towards the end of the season.
And sorry if I meant to throw you on the spotlight there, but I like that. That check down about, the kind of, it's more like keys to success for these teams. So great insight on that. And speaking of which, the Pacific Thrashers, who are already eliminated out of playoff contention, but like to keep it competitive, and they take on the 47ers, who are looking to fight for a playoff spot right now. But this game it looked like it was pretty competitive, but high-scoring game nonetheless. 47ers take the win 17-11 over the Pacific Thrashers.
Yeah, it's good to see the Pacific Thrashers be more into games. They're the very first game of the year they played Whoosh, and they lost that one 34-3. So good to see that there's some more offense going on for the Pacific Thrashers. And that might have to give them, if there's an award for the most improved team throughout the whole year, they might be getting that. Especially they've had more contributions from Chad French could be the most improved player in the whole league. I remember he didn't pitch at all the first week. In the second week, he was the only player there. So we had me and Nick from the Shepherd's Pie. We subbed in for them, and Chad was pitching for the first time, and he was actually doing pretty well. And he's continued to improve. As he's got an 8.85 ERA in 15 2/3 innings pitched, which for a guy who's never really thrown a wiffleball before, it's not too bad at all for a first time. So they're improving, they're getting better, just not able to come around with the wins. But for the 47ers, they do get a needed win here to keep themselves in that playoff race, and this win does put them in the 3 seed, just ahead of Whoosh as we head into that last week. Where they have a tough matchup versus the 47ers this coming week, and then if I'm not mistaken, the last week they got to play another tough team. They got to play another tough team in Wiffle D's as well. So they gotta take each other on again. We'll see how that all shakes out at the end. But 47ers get a needed win to get themselves up to 500.
Yeah, this is a huge win for them that they needed. I mean, obviously, this game was somewhat competitive for this team. But the 47ers have been interesting to watch because it's a newer team, but we're not sure exactly where they fit in with this scheme of the standings in terms of the talent-wise. But they've kept it very close in a lot of these games that we've seen throughout this season. And they have a really good defense, young group of guys. They can run around and really hold a strong defense. If you look at the stats just a little bit, I mean, they're not too bad. They're just like right in the middle of the pack there. Their best pitcher is Jake Geck with a 7.27 ERA with 34 strikeouts, I should add. But the biggest thing has just been keeping a consistent bat. All their players are all above 300 on the batting average wise part of it. So it's an interesting team to watch. And righty so, it's going to be a question about whether they can compete with the, top teams in Division 2. And actually, we get a preview of that matchup as we talk to the next game, which is against Wiffle D's. 47ers taking on Wiffle D's, who currently hold the second spot. But this one, somewhat high scoring, but 47ers coming off of that win against Pacific Thrashers couldn't get it done against Wiffle D's. 9-6 was the final in this game.
Yeah, and this puts a little separation for Wiffle D's, getting them into the 2 seed. One game ahead going into this, now they're 2 games ahead after a win versus the 47ers. I know we've talked about both teams already, kind of their what their goal is. We've even seen at times, when Wiffledees is on, they have the potential to beat the Seals. They just haven't been able to do so yet. The most recent time they played each other was a 6-5 game, which the OC Seals took the win. But Wiffledees able to produce a lot of runs at the plate, but and have allowed the second least number of runs in the league so far. But if they can get that combo going through the playoffs, that could be an interesting matchup if they were to meet in the World Series, or just see how that, even if the 47ers and Wiffledees were to meet each other in the first round of the playoffs, that would be interesting to see. I think it would be interesting to see an OC Seals Wiffledees matchup in the World Series, especially given the fact that these two teams played each other in the OC Wiffleball Summer Classic as well, with the OC Seals taking that one in a very close game. I think that could be very interesting to see how things go between those two, but don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much.
I mean, obviously we don't want to, because we're looking at these games and just looking at this from afar. Obviously, we're more focused on the Division 1 stuff. But, watching Division 2 has been interesting. We've had our guy, Ryan Lavelle, keep a close eye on those games and kind of giving us the story a little bit as well. But it's interesting because you get to see maybe potentially who's going to be moving up into Division 1 within the next 2 seasons, or if that becoming next season and whatnot. Because the top teams are obviously qualified to move up to Division 1 if they want to. And the newer teams will have to fall into Division 2 because we don't know what their experience is with Wiffleball and whatnot. So, but the numbers have been very interesting to watch because you see the stark difference between Division 2 and Division 1 in terms of with the stat logging in OC Wiffleball.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been you're able to see a difference between these two divisions. Before all these teams would be meshed together, we have 14 teams playing against each other. Like the OC Seals record could look a lot different if they were playing teams like the Purple Huskies, MS Warriors, LA Wolves of OC, things like that. Maybe they'll be in Division 1 next for the future. Who knows? They also heard some stuff about them possibly missing some guys for the future, so that could put a damper in the works. Or we'll see if any Division 1 teams decide to join Division 2 for next year. Want to see if they get some more wins, or if they lose some players, to see what the competition's like and things like that. But both these divisions are coming down to a close race. Especially for those last playoff, for the bottom half of those playoff spots. Unfortunately, one team's going to be knocked out of that playoffs, and it'll be a close race as we get down to the end. So we'll see how this all shakes up. Just got to see who brings their best game for these final weeks and is able to sneak into those playoffs.
And speaking of playoffs, as we get to the Purple League here, top 3 teams make it to playoffs. First team will get a bye all the way to the championship game, and the last place team won't have a spot in the playoffs. So there is something to fight for in the Purple League, even though it's meant to be more of a fun type of league. But if you want to fight for just fun competition, then that's definitely where you will need the Purple League. And starting off with the Purple League, we got the Wiffle Does taking on the Sheeps. This was interesting game. 13-2 was the final score. The Sheeps take a big victory to keep themselves in that race if they're looking to take the number 1 spot if they would like to.
This instance being a little different there. That 1 seed gets the battle with the championship. I believe. I believe both teams want to be able to make it to both those. The 1 seed's going to be down either the Glizzy Gladiators or the Sheeps. I know Justin's rooting for the Glizzy Gladiators, but. Either one. They do. Those teams do play each other the final week as well. We'll see how things shake out at the end. But the Chiefs just able to put up a lot of runs, and in general, the Chiefs have run away with the runs that they've scored in terms of everyone else. Actually, everyone else is very close. Glizzy Gladiators scored 47 runs on the year. Wiffle Does scored 48. And Pancake Batters have scored 49 on the year. And then you have the Sheeps who have scored 91 runs so far this year, but sit in that 2-speed seat because they also have allowed 71 runs. So they're right there with Anthony out there. They can be able to put themselves in a place where Anthony can win his first OC Wiffleball title.
Righty so, and this is the this is that chance to win that title, of course, in the Purple League. If you get a chance to take on that spot, they have a good chance to take the number one spot. But it is really more for fun. So, but depending on which how serious you want to take it, it's a good look for the Sheeps to be able to get this win and move themselves up a bit. Next game, Pancake Batters versus Glizzy Gladiators. Glizzy Gladiators, who apparently I'm cheering for, won 13-4 against the Pancake Batters. Glizzy Gladiators are kind of running away with the Purple League at the very moment.
Yeah, we all know the Glizzy Gladiators are your favorite team, Justin. You don't have to pretend. We know you watch all the live streams and you follow Joey and Kyle commentating very close. We understand that we know you have a bias for them, so it's okay.
I love you, Joey.
Yeah, but Glizzy Gladiators able to get some more runs here. As we mentioned, they've actually scored the least number of runs in the league, but they've also allowed the least number of runs in the league. Sit with a plus 16 run differential, so things looking good for them going into the last couple weeks. Looking to try to secure that number one seed, go straight to a World Series, and see if Kyle and Joey can win their first World Series. They had a great chance in the spring, but I don't know what happened.
Don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. They lost to some team in the spring. They didn't even make it to the World Series. I'm not sure how that happened.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta think about that one too. I'm not sure. That was weird.
Yeah. Let me know when you figure that one out.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that. Anyways, that will do it for Week 7 breakdown stuff. Obviously, the storyline is playoffs. We're looking at every single storyline. We have the continued games that need to be finished off, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Week 8 results and see what the playoff picture looks like then. But for now, other announcements, obviously you got the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby happening this Sunday at Newport Beach, so don't forget about that. The golf tournament is also happening. It will close this Thursday. If you haven't signed up, you make sure and hurry up and sign up for that as well. That's kind of it for most news. Winter season, October 13th is the last day for early bird pricing, which will go up about $10. Captains, there is a new captain discount on the website if you're for the existing captains and newer teams. Discounts are being offered for signing up 2 teams or becoming a captain for a Purple League team. So a lot of details about that. So make sure you check out ocfootball.com for all of those details on that.
Just re-ask that question, please.
Yeah, so before I move on to our next storyline, is there anything you'd like to recap or talk about the OC Football League before we move on?
One thing with the golf tournament, this is going to be one of the nicer golf event of the year. You get to play at it's a bit more expensive, but you're playing at the Strawberry Farms Golf Club, which is a bit nicer golf club, a different golf club. To see if Joe Reese is able to defend his back-to-back title. And with the other golf tournaments, they usually take place at Miles Square Golf Course in the Santa Ana area. This one's taking place at Strawberry Farm, so you get you'll be having this kind of event going on. All-Star Game, Home Run Derby coming up. Captains there was a Google form put out today. So make sure to submit your picks into there as soon as you can. Make sure you get guys to be able to commit to be able to go out to that event. It's going to be at the Balboa Peninsula. The Home Run Derby will start around 10 a.m. Other than that, that's about it. As we talked about, I will not be there for the event because I'll be going at an event that we're about to talk about right now.
Okay, well, let's get into it then. The big news, obviously, next weekend, the reason why Stephen Hayden will not be available on the podcast next week is because he will be up in York, Pennsylvania at the World Wiffleball Championship tournament.
I'm just in right away.
Yeah.
Sick.
He qualified with a secret tournament nobody knew about.
Once I won the MVP for the summer, I just qualified.
Exactly. Anyway, so the big storyline is that he's representing SoCal Wiffleball and California Wiffleball in general. They're going up there this next weekend. There'll be qualifying games on Saturday, and then obviously the big tournament games will be on Sunday. But I'll let you take it away a little bit and introduce us to your team a little bit and what's happening for this next Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the fourth year that United Wiffleball is hosting this event. It's now officially starting last year. It's now officially the World Championships, as there is a team called the Wiffle Tigers who are from Japan. They started coming here for the first time this past year. So I'm going out there for the first time. There were some talks about OC Wiffleball sending out a team last year and this year, but we're not able to get things to come to fruition with that in terms of getting guys, and it's an expensive trip. I'm gonna say it's not easy on the pocketbooks, but something I was able to make work and something that we're able to make work as a group. So as you see in the post, that is, you can see in front of the screen, you can see this was from the United Wiffleball Instagram page or Twitter, their social page, whatever. Kind of their detailed version of us team preview. You can see on the first page you have it mentions OC Wiffleball because I was the MVP of it, things like that for that this past season in the summer, and it gives a preview of what they kind of see for us coming in. We have a very talented young group. Especially with some of the California guys. So me and Dustin kind of been working together with this, but Dustin is the official captain of the team, Dustin Staggs, who also plays for the other OC and OC Wiffleball. Michael Haskell up at the Trash Pandas was just having a conversation with me. He was kind of he was very in awe of Dustin Staggs and kind of was asking where did I find him, how he gave up 9 runs on the year at all. Because he had a very good day versus the Trash Pandas, but Dustin Staggs is going to be playing, and he's officially the captain. It's going to be a lot more of our early game pitcher. With these tournaments, you need to have at least like 3-4 pitchers, if not even 5 pitchers, to be able to go through and progress, because you're playing. These are all 4-inning games at fast pitch, and you're possibly going to play. Potentially, you could play 8-9 games over the course of 2 days. So you need a lot of pitching to be successful. Dustin's gonna be a lot of early pitcher. He's a very good pitcher. Doesn't throw the hardest. He's in the mid 70s, but he's a guy that throws a lot of strikes and is going to be our leadoff hitter. Is going to find a way to get on base and bring stuff in for me. Now, obviously, a lot of people on this podcast know who I am, or pretty much everybody. If you don't know, now you know who I am. I'll be in this situation. I'll be our big game pitcher. Just go as long as I can, especially later on in the tournament, to try to save myself for Saturday night / Sunday morning. Would have been a little easier with one player, which we'll talk about later, who's not going. But I'm also going to be hitting in the 2 spot for our lineup. The most recent tournament, I had a lot of success hitting wise, especially against some of the better pitching. I had a double and a home run off of Randy Dalby, who last year was the number 40 ranked pitcher, number 40 ranked wiffball player in the world. Has been higher in the past as well. Has been in the 20s before. So, and he's a very seasoned veteran. So you can see what it says about me. Talking about me being the SoCal Rookie of the Year MVP favorite. Talking about how I also compete in the OC Wiffleball in the summer, in this California Summer Series tournaments, which we've talked about on here, which are those fast pitch tournaments that take place in Upland. They talk about throw a pair of different drops from different angles, other offerings. I keep hitters off balance. That's what I try to do best. I don't throw the hardest compared out there. I've been getting up to about 86, 87 miles an hour when I chuck a pitch, but. I'm able to throw strikes. I'm able to get some strikeouts when needed. I'm able to mix things up. And when I was practicing most recently, I was getting a lot of guys off balance, and hardly any hits were made off of me. So we're going to try to be that main pitcher to carry us through, try to get us to Sunday, which would be great. We have Ethan Johnson, who plays in the SoCal Wiffle League, who plays with on Dustin's team, actually, the Panthers. He's big, strong dude. He's like 6'3". In better shape than me, but that's another worry. He's a good power hitter. He's going to be there for pitching as well. For not pitching much in fast pitch, he's had some good success. He did well against the Cajuns, who are another team that's going out to York, Pennsylvania. Who are looking to and for EJ, we're looking to, if we can get his bat going, we'll be in good shape. And for pitching wise, if he just hits the strike zone, throws strikes, and if he's able to give us good defense, he'll be a big contributor to us. Next player on that list is Cannon Rabbits, who was going to be going with us, but unfortunately had to pull out for baseball reasons. Cannon Rabbits, it's a lefty from the league who plays for the Phoenix. Him and I are 1-2 or 2-1 in the MVP conversations for SoCal Wiffle so far. And in the most recent tournament, Cannon, for first time pitching in fast pitch, Cannon was pitching pretty well. And hitting wise, it took some time for him to warm up to it, but he started getting going good with it. Was seeing the ball better. And we were looking forward to having him at this tournament. He could have been our Sunday pitcher even. Just giving them, it doesn't quite throw as hard as me, but he gives them gives people that different look on the mound. They get that lefty look. He's got a very good lefty screwball. But he may join us for the. It sounds like he'll be joining us for the BLW Arizona tournament, which we'll talk about at a later podcast. So he's unfortunately not going. So we're looking to try to get a sub. We've asked a bunch of guys. We're trying to secure something. Otherwise, we'll just be going with 4. And our 5th guy is a guy who's actually out in the New York area, I believe. His name's Andrew Stone. He's been to this tournament, but he's played this tournament before. He was the captain of the Claws in 2021, in which they made it to the final 16. Lefty batter. Probably won't pitch too much for us. Could pitch if needed. Lefty batter will play the first base side of the infield. And we'll see how the hitting is. I haven't seen. I don't know too much about him. I haven't seen him too much, but. We'll be getting him out. We'll be getting him to come play with us for this tournament. So that's our 4. Looking to try to get a 5th. We've asked a bunch of people. We're and it's not a cheap trip, but we got one we're trying to possibly work on and get out there. But won't say anything until that's confirmed. So that's our group. If you don't know too much about the United Wiffleball tournament in general, it's a 2-day tournament. Saturday, you have all the pool play games, and you have a lot of the elimination games. There are 40 teams out there to start. Each team is guaranteed 3 games. As long as you win a game, you move on to the single elimination stuff. But when you play, I should say how many games you win to start off determines where you get placed into the next rounds. If you go 3-0, you automatically get placed into the final 16. Where if you go 1-2, you get placed into what's called the Survivor round, which the difference between 1-2 and 3-0 means you could have to play an extra 4 games if you go 1-2, just to be able to get to the play against a 3-0 team. So that's how that works with that. But after Saturday, weather permitting, I've seen it's supposed to rain a little bit there. By Sunday, they're down now to 8 teams. Those 8 teams take each other on in the semifinal in the quarterfinals. And you move to the semifinals, and then finally you have the final between the 2 teams that are left. Last year, it was the Juggernauts taking on the Phenoms. Juggernauts were the defending champions for 2021. I have guys like the McElrath brothers, Ryan and Tim. I have Ben Stant and on that team that for the Phenoms. I'm sure a lot of people here know about Jordan Robles, and you have Jordan Robles and his team out there. Juggernauts are the 2-time defending champions now, but we'll see how things are able to unfold this coming year. We're looking to try, as the preview says, they don't know a whole lot about us, but we know a whole lot about them, about a lot of the teams out there. So I think it's going to be an advantage for us. And as the post says, it's hard to put any sort of odds on this team. The talent certainly is there, and we have some talented guys with me, Dustin, and EJ for sure. I haven't seen Andrew as much, but he has a lot of experience out there on the older side, but knows a lot of the people out there. And they're saying, a 3+ winner, 1-win tournament wouldn't be surprising for the first time out there. So we're trying to at least get 2 wins. It'll be big for us to get into the final 16, get into that final game of Saturday night. And if we are able to get, we're able to get to Sunday, that would be huge for us. But it'd be huge for California wiffleball in general. But overall, we're just looking at going out there, have a good time. There'll be a video coming out later of it, kind of a vlog style video, and just probably get some game footage as well. There'll be live streams of a lot of the games going on. There'll be a schedule of things going on. The stuff will be live streamed on the United Wiffleball YouTube channel, the York Revolution, which is the minor league team that's the stadium is that we're playing in. You'll have the York Revolution YouTube channel live streaming. United Wiffleball has a Facebook that'll be live streaming. They also have a Twitch channel that'll be live streaming. So they'll have a lot of ways to be able to watch games, and hopefully, and maybe even SoCal will do some live streams and things like that. So I'm looking through the schedule of last year's games. I'd say about 70 to 75% of the games last year, or maybe even 80%, were all live streamed last year. So please tune in, check them out. We're looking to, or we're the main team from California that's coming out here to play out here. So please come and check it out. If you got any more questions on that, let me know. And if you have any questions on it, Justin, fire away. I spoke along for long enough.
Yeah, sure. Obviously we talked about the scope of how big this tournament is. Otherwise, you talked about the presence of Jordan Robles and how it's also MLW also is involved with this tournament. I understand you guys are also going a bit early to kind of get a chance to go meet with some of those guys. But I guess, what are your feelings about being able to be a part of something as big as this tournament? And how does this, shape up to be, one of the biggest tournaments that you've probably ever participated in a long time?
I've been, since I started playing with Bob, I've been looking to try to get into this some way, somehow. Got some experience through the summer tournaments this year. I got a lot of experience pitching, especially. That was the number one thing, and being able to see guys such as Randy Dalby, Mike Toohey, and some of the Cajun guys as well. Even facing against Steve Trispus, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, of the Las Vegas Wifflers. All those guys will be out there at the York tournament as well for their respective teams. It was good for me to be able to get out there, because I knew at one point or another, sometime soon, I wanted to get out there. Like I said, last year we knew that we were out there, but I don't think I was ready last year. I just didn't have the experience with playing that sort of pitching and things like that. But now, after this year, seeing it a lot more, I think I'm a lot more ready. I had some good success against Randy. I was a big confidence booster for me going into this big tournament. But this is a big one for us in general. If we can have some success, get three wins or so, we can put our name on the map. Especially since we're still such a young group. Andrew's on the older side, but in terms of the group we have from California, I'm the oldest at 24, whereas the other guys are in the 18 to 21 range. So we're still a young group that still has a lot of time to be able to develop and get better. And it's a group of guys that want to get better. Guys like Ethan Johnson, Cannon Rabbit, Dustin Staggs, they all want to get better at this, and they want to be able to compete. And if we're ever able to get PJ Gordon out there at some point, that would be dangerous for us, because PJ, as we saw in OC Wiffleball when he was here, he's a very good hitter and pitcher, and even at every style of Wiffleball, he's very good. So that's big for us to try to be able to make a name for ourselves. Even if we just get one win, I just don't want to go there without a win, that sort of thing. So that's the biggest thing for us, and we'll see what happens as we go out there looking to represent. We're representing California kind of in general. But I'll be representing SoCal Wiffleball, OC Wiffleball, and stuff like that. So maybe you'll see some posts on the OC Wiffleball Instagram story about me being out there. Who knows?
100%. And I like that insight a little bit. So I guess my next question would be, now that you guys are, depending on what the outcome is of this tournament, what would that mean, not just for yourself, but California Wiffleball, and would there be more opportunity for you guys to continue playing at this tournament if you had the choice to?
I think there definitely is. It's a pretty open sign up for this tournament. The four of us, the first four names on that list, all play in the SoCal League together. California Wiffleball is not seen as strong to be as strong as like a lot of the Midwest and East Coast. Just it's often not seen as big of a thing here, but it's starting to grow more with the likes of OC Wiffleball, SoCal Wiffleball with their different types, and then Peter Mockabee, who runs the fast pitch tournaments out here. Peter Mockabee has had a lot of success with the Whippets out at this tournament. They went to the Final Four in 2020 and 2021. And they made it to the final 16 this past year, losing a 2-1 game to the team that won the 2020 national championship. So, for us, we're hoping to bring some more names, some more California guys to be able to play Wiffleball in general. There are some out there that we've played in tournaments, such as the likes of guys from the Spitfires, like Brian Owens, who. We were just practicing with a couple of days ago when this is out. But I think the biggest thing going to this tournament is kind of seeing the draw for what we get. Depending on when this podcast goes out, the draw may already be out. If it's out, you can put the list. You can put the list of kind of either our bracket or who our first opponent is and stuff like that. That's taking place Monday at 5:00. Our time on the United Wiffleball YouTube page. That'll be live streamed. So I'm definitely tuned into that right after I got class right before that. So I'll be tuned in right after that. But overall, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and I'll be looking to try to make more Wiffleball trips to go play Wiffleball and things like that. And this is a great first one to start off. And October will be a busy month for me for Wiffleball.
It is. It certainly is. This summer you guys have been really busy preparing for this, and obviously this week 8, you guys said you probably won't be pitching as much because you're trying to save those arms for this tournament. What's kind of like the preview going into this tournament? Who's your top guys that you're expecting? Like, if you guys do make it to the elimination games, who's the first couple of guys you guys are throwing into the fire in there, and then who's going to be pitching for the vast majority of those first few games?
The vast majority of the games will kind of be down to Dustin Staggs and Ethan Johnson. Andrew Stone could mix in there as well if needed, but I think it'll primarily be those two. And we're working on getting a fifth guy who would be able to pitch as well. If we're able to get him, that would help our pitching rotation up a lot. Ethan Johnson would be more like an early elimination game pitcher because I can only throw so much without slowing down or being inaccurate, things like that. But I'm kind of going to be our game guy that the pitching revolves around, and even the offense to an extent. I had the most success in against the top pitching in our most recent tournament back in August. So I'm looking to try to continue that success as we go into this tournament. But for this tournament, it's the top Wiffleball talent in the world. This is the biggest tournament of the year in Wiffleball. Everyone's going to try to win this one. It's going to be a dogfight to see who's able to come out on top. But I think we're going to be prepared enough to be able to have some success out there, and hopefully we'll be able to shock some people out there.
I certainly hope that's what the narrative is, and I think if you do decide to watch this upcoming Saturday, like you said, it's going to be live streamed, and there will be videos about it. Do you want to give the details about the channel, where to look for that, and where exactly do we give somebody like who hasn't seen this before find that?
Yes. So some of the best places to look at would be YouTube. United Wiffleball has a YouTube page, just United Wiffleball. You can check their live streams. They'll have stuff going on there. If you look, it's called the stadium we're playing in York, Pennsylvania is a minor league team called the York Revolution plays there, and the ballpark is called it just got renamed. It's called Wellspan Park right now. But you'll look at the field and you'll see you think our games are crowded on the softball field. There'll be 10 games going on in this field at the same time. So the York Revolution, they also have a YouTube channel which will be live streaming this stuff. You have the United Wiffleball has a Twitch page and a Facebook page that they will also live stream stuff to. I'll send Justin. Hopefully, will be shown right now kind of a picture of the past schedule. Kind of you can see kind of the links where the links are to like kind of what the links look like to be able to check out all of these games and be able to watch all of them and see what happens if you want to follow along, if you have the time, if you want to just check in every now and again. And if you guys want to, if anyone wants to talk to me more about it or wants to ask more about it, you absolutely can. I'm down to talk about stuff and kind of explain it more. And also, if more people from OC Wiffleball want to are interested in doing something like this in the future, please talk to me, and we can figure some stuff out for next year. It's too late to sign up for this year, but we can figure some stuff out for next year in terms of making a team, getting to play in these upland tournaments that Peter Mockabee runs. And be able to kind of get acquainted to this style, because it's a much different style to OC Wiffleball. So it's something you need some practice to get used to.
So I want to talk about this detail just a little bit. If you look at the history of the United Wiffleball National Tournament now, the World Championship Tournament, the only teams that have come from California have been the Whippets and the O-Bombers. You guys would be, I believe, the third or fourth team coming out of California to participate in this tournament. Obviously, that is a big deal. Whippets have been known to really, they got really close a few times, but then last year they only made it to the 13th spot in the final 16. But you know, you got some expectations for guys coming out of California. Obviously, the Whippets were that strong team. The O-Bombers, I believe, finished in the 5th spot in 2020. So a lot of expectations for a couple California teams because, you know, they didn't finish in those last spots. They finished like in the final 16 area of that bracket. So is the expectation to try to finish out in final 16 or just try to get as much as you can get?
You know, those teams were different. You know, it's all a little bit different. You know, even the Whippets, not everybody was from California. Guys like Randy Dalbert aren't originally from California. And that O-Bombers team was mostly guys from California, but it wasn't entirely just guys from California. Actually, if you didn't know, which I didn't know, the O-Bombers were the team in 2020 that Mike Toohey played for, but he's more out of the Connecticut area or Arizona area type thing. But you know, there aren't a whole lot of teams from California that usually go. And usually it's based off kind of where the captain is and stuff, from stuff like that. The captain, like the O-Bombers, was Sylvie Serrano, who was the 2010 Ultimate Whiffler, which I believe he was the number one ranked player in Wiffleball at the time. I believe that's what it means. And then the Whippets were captained by Peter Mockabee for the past 2 years, which there are no Whippets this year. Peter Mockabee unable to go, and then Randy Dalbert will be playing on a different team out there. But you know, we're just looking to do the best we can. You know, those other California teams had a lot more experience. We've played at some of these tournaments, but I mean, I only started playing fast pitch in May, and for that first tournament in May, on May 27th. So we're looking to get some experience. We're looking to enjoy the trip out there. You know, if we don't go all the way, that's okay. But we're looking to try to see how much success we can have out there. It all just depends on the matchup, who we get in that first draw, and things like that.
Okay, well, certainly. Well, so it's kind of it for me on questions, basically. But obviously, the expectation is just to have a good time for the most part, get some really good experience going out there in York Penn, and try to get some dubs.
Yeah, and we'll see how things go. If you have any other question, if anyone has any other questions on that, please talk to me. Let me know. I'm down to talk about all that stuff. There'll be links to watch different videos, or even well, Dustin's bringing a camera crew out there and bringing all the camera equipment, so maybe he'll even have some stuff, some live stream stuff going on as well that you can tune into to check out. So it should be a great time. Saturday is a very long day for Wiffleball. Sometimes games might not even finish till midnight or so, just because there's no time limit on these games. They just go until they go. So it's gonna be a very exciting time to be able to see how things shake out there.
Absolutely. And will you be participating in the festivities of the MLW Friday Fan Fest?
Yeah, we'll be there for that. We'll be. I actually you have to buy tickets for that actually. So, I bought my ticket for that, and also I'll be competing in the home run derby there as well. So just have some fun with that. We'll see how that goes. That one I don't have any expectations for, as people have seen the OC Wiffleball home run derbies. I don't have a lot of success in those, but. I did win a home run derby in one of the SoCal tournaments. So, I mean, you never know. We're just out there to have a fun time out there for the most part.
Absolutely, I think that's just kind of the goal, right?
Be able to meet some of the other top football players in the world, meet some of the MLW guys, and it's just gonna be a fun time to enjoy out there. Be getting some signed stuff. I know Justin has some stuff he wants me to get signed for him. But other than that, just the Friday night's going to be more of a fun night, and then Saturday we may start at 8 o'clock there and get ready for the games and things like that. So it should be a good time. As I'm trying to stall here so Justin can get his headphones back on and get his packs. I was about to finish up, and then I saw you reaching with the headphones off. So I just need to keep saying the same thing over and over again.
These are the twos I feel like definitely should get signed. That's 100% for sure.
Yeah, and both of those guys will be playing out there as well. So, gonna be looking forward to meeting a bunch of guys, can let you know new ways to talk to people like that, and put my name out there, especially if we have. I had some conversations with one of the guys who's been out there a long time, who we played in some of the summer tournaments. He said, if I do well out there, some teams out there may be looking to add me for next year, if we don't send a team out from California. So that could be interesting to see if a team out there would potentially look to add me. Who knows? Just got to play well
for future tournaments. Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe for this tournament next year. Who knows? It could be interesting to see.
Okay.
But I got to play well first.
Yeah, right. I think that's the most important thing. Just being able to play up to speed and everything like that. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I think I'll be able to adjust okay. As a team, we just got to be able to all get there. I think that first game's going to be big for us because we've had some slow starts at times, but if we can get off to a quick start, especially if we can get that first win, if we get an easier per se opponent, I think that would help us a lot. So we'll see. Well, I'm not sure when you're going to post this podcast, but the picking, the draft may already be done by the time before this is up. After this is uploaded, so you can put a little disclaimer of who we're playing the first match if you want to, if that's already done.
It'd be really funny if they just decided to put you guys up against one of the big games against like the juggernauts.
I mean, it's possible. It all just depends on the matchup. MLW kind of got screwed over last year. They had they had both the juggernauts and the phenoms in their group. Because I should say about the draw. So there are 40 teams there. There are 5 groups of 8 teams, and so every team has their first initial opponent, and then if you say you go 1-0, you play another team that's 1-0, And if you go 0-1, then you play another team that's 0-1. And through the first 3 pool play games, you play another team that has the exact same record and same path as you. So at the end, you'll have each group will have 1 3-0 team, 3 2-1 teams, 3 1-2 teams, and then 1 0-3 team. So all of that will be it'll all be done like that. It's just about who you get in your group, and like teams like MLW, they kind of got screwed over with their group last year. They had the Juggernauts in their group. They had the Phenoms in their group, who both those teams were in the final of the tournaments. And actually, none of those teams finished. Neither one of those teams had a perfect record in the pool play. Or for pool play, who MLW had to play in their first game was Circle City Wiffleball, which is the Skull Crushers, who are quite a good team. Made it to the final 8 before losing to the usual suspects, who, as I mentioned, were the 2020 champions. But just a lot depends on the draw. If you can get a easier draw, especially that first game, if we can get that big win in the first game, that would be huge for us.
Certainly. So I guess, yeah, depending on when this comes out, then I could put a little disclaimer in there whether that has happened or not. But if you also want to know, maybe you can check out Stephen Hayden's story. It might be up there, or any the other outlets that we've got. So
yeah,
just keep an eye on it. This is kind of for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking to try to bring some success and put some names in California. And I'll be trying to put a positive light onto OC Wiffleball and things like that. I'll probably wear some OC Wiffleball gear on Friday night or something like that. But looking forward to it overall.
All right, well, I guess good luck on next Saturday, and then you won't be here for this next episode of the podcast. So we'll get you a fill-in or somebody to put like a mask of Steven's face.
Just do it by yourself. I did it by myself once.
Okay, I could do that then.
You kind of sat there. I was just,
you know what? Here's what I'll do.
To that episode.
Here's what I'll do. I'll like record one side of myself, but wear like your face and just pretend. Hey guys,
just have a conversation.
Then the other side.
How much time do you have in your day?
Literally nothing, because school is horrible. Anyways, but yeah. So I think we covered pretty much everything. That's the big storyline. Obviously, playoffs for OC Wiffleball are just right around the corner. Steven's going up to York, Pennsylvania. It's a big time for Wiffleball, and then next podcast, I guess a couple podcasts down the road, in that case, we'll be talking about another tournament that you guys will be participating in Arizona, right?
Yeah, that'll be taking place. We'll talk about that. Not this next podcast, but the podcast after that. We'll talk a lot about that. That'll probably be an extremely long podcast, because that'll be the week before the playoffs. That'll be the week before the playoffs starts. That'll be the first podcast of me coming back and talking about my experience with York, Pennsylvania, and that'll be the last podcast before we go on another tournament to Arizona, which I'm driving out to Arizona for the weekend. So very busy time for Wiffball, and then once that passes, it'll be a nice break for a couple months in terms of throwing my arm out until the end of the year. Look, that's what I signed up for. This is what I've been wanting to do. So looking forward to continuing this. Continue the Wiffleball journey, especially as I'm in one of my last years of playing college baseball. So we'll see where things go from there, and looking to try to bring some success and some good words for OC Wiffleball.
Certainly. Okay, well, I guess we can wrap up this episode 25 of That Scuffed Up. Wow, 25 episodes.
We're 25.
25. Wow, we made it. Pretty epic milestone to reach. We made a ton of these episodes. I want to say
we haven't killed each other yet.
No, we haven't. We've not done that yet, which is good.
Thought about it.
Yeah. Ouchies. I've contemplated a few times. Anyways, Episode 26 will be coming at you next week. If you don't follow the official OC Wiffleball Instagram, go ahead and follow that right now. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that beautiful stuff. And if we got nothing else to go, I think we are good to go. And good luck at York, Pennsylvania, and we will see you guys very soon. This has been Justin Lee, Stephen Hayden. We will see you guys in episode 26. Have a good one. See you later.
Let's do it.